I'm really pleased to be with you.
Yeah.
So, yes, I'm very pleased to be invited to share with you at this conference on focusing and presence. What I plan to do is give you a short introduction on focusing and self-in-presence, and then to lead you in a couple of exercises so that you get some practical experience of what I want to share. So it's going to be a very brief introduction, but I hope you get some idea. Yes. So the title of this short presentation is How Your Self-in-Presence Brings Change. How your actual being in this present moment, this here and now moment, with presence, makes a real difference to what's happening inside and to your capacity for healing and change, life forward direction, moving forward in a good, healthy and natural and very gentle way. So in this presentation, I want you to learn how to develop a positive inner relationship with your feelings and your experiencing. Find out how giving the right kind of attention to your present moment experience makes a real difference. And learn how to listen to your body in a gentle, accepting way, to value what it's saying to you. When you bring awareness to your body and your inner experiencing, what's the quality of that interaction that you have? You're bringing compassionate awareness to whatever is there in your body and in your experience, your feelings and your thoughts. You may notice that there's a living process happening and things are changing when you bring your attention inside. And it was Dr. Eugene Gendlin who discovered focusing. He found that the quality of the interaction and the quality of your presence makes a big difference. Just as the quality of the therapeutic relationship is important when you're with a client, so the quality of your inner relationship makes a real difference to your capacity to listen to yourself and to allow real change. I just want to let you know a bit of background. And presented therapy in the 1950s and 1960s. So Eugene Gendlin researched the question, why is psychotherapy helpful for some people and not others? He and his colleagues studied tapes of hundreds of therapy sessions and made an important discovery that successful therapy clients had a vague, hard-to-describe inner awareness, a bodily felt sense about their problems. He found that people became inarticulate and had to slow down to be able to accurately describe what they were feeling. It took some time to sense and to listen to what they were actually experiencing. So you might say to them, well, you know, what's going on for you right now? And they might just take a moment. They say, well, it feels a little bit like this, but not quite. I'm not quite angry, and I'm not really sad, but there's something more there. So they might start to describe feelings, but it wasn't exactly right. And he found that paying attention to the felt sense in the body in specific ways which is a key component of successful psychological change. This was an important discovery. And Eugene Gendlin discovered how to teach this skill, which he called focusing. So I'm wondering if you can be curious, open, accepting, and non-judgmental when you pay attention to the bodily felt experience. Compassionate listening. In focusing, this is known as the focusing attitude. It's helpful when you're being mindful for you to know that you're there with presence. You're not merged with your feelings, and you're not denying them. When you're being self in presence, you can sit with your feelings in a way that allows them to soften, open, and feel fully heard. This is what we find when we practice focusing. Things change. And when you attend to your body in the here and now, you will notice that sensations shift and move and release. And you might notice what happens to them. Do they go away? Have you lost your connection with it? And your attention goes to something else? What, if anything, has changed, and how has it changed? How does it feel now? How can you recognize when something has really released and healed? Does it come back again later? What's the quality of your relationship to it? Can you be kind and gentle with it, simply because it is a part of you? And as therapists, you know how important it is to really hear the client. When they feel heard, something shifts and releases. And it's the same with your inside places. If you can really hear yourself in an open and accepting way, something in you shifts and releases. Something in your bodily felt experience becomes unstuck and freer. We call this ability to listen in a friendly, open way presence. Presence is the ability to be with anything in your experience without trying to get rid of it or trying to fix it, touched by it. The quality of yourself in presence is what heals and to the unfolding of a positive life direction in the direction of fuller life, really life enhancing, resolving old hurts, past pains, current difficulties, moving forwards. So just to sum up briefly, and then we'll move on. Looking at an overview of what supports change. Being aware of what's happening in your here and now experience. The quality of your attention in the here and now. The quality of your relationship with what's there. Being able to accurately describe what's happening inside. Disidentifying with your inner experience, making space between you and your experience. Making contact with your inner experience, moving towards, without being merged or overwhelmed. There's qualities of allowing, making space for what's there, accepting it just as it is. Qualities of being friendly, not judging yourself. Focusing is about stepping back from your inner experience and also making contact with it in an open and friendly way. Okay, that's what I want to say in my introduction. Do you want to say anything or ask anything before we have a practice of this?
Yeah, maybe. Are there any questions around this, around the introduction? Or okay, so we had I think some of us had a difficulty with understanding all of it in the introduction because of the technology. So, so if we were to summarize it in maybe a sentence or two as to what is focusing, what that might be, what would you?
Yes, I would say in a few words, it's sensing into the body, noticing your experience as it is alive in the here and now moment. What's happening in your body? And that includes your thoughts, your feelings, your body sensations, and maybe the subtle things happening there too. So you're aware of what's happening in your body. You might describe it to yourself. See if you can describe what you're experiencing in your body, and then being with it in a very open and friendly way, non-judgmental, very accepting, being with it, and noticing what happens then, when this leads to change. This is what Jean Genlin's discovery was.
Okay. Yeah, I think, is that clear enough, or what it might be? All right. And you wanted to take us through an exercise with that, or do you want to talk about presence first? Where do we go?
Yes, I'll just briefly introduce the exercise, which is about presence. And my thought is, if you didn't really get all of my initial presentation, I could email it to you, you could make it available to people.
Yes.
You know, I've got it written down, and people could have it, you could send it out by email or something.
Yes, we can do that.
Yeah. So right now, as a practical exercise on this, what I'm wanting you to do is to think about what is presence, self in presence. How do you know when you're self in presence? Do you have that ability to really listen to yourself or to others in a very accepting and non-judgmental way? Do you have that ability not to be totally overwhelmed with your feelings so that you can't see the wood for the trees and it's just too much, it's overwhelming? Or maybe sometimes you might have the experience of not knowing what you feel, just not being in touch with them at all. So self in presence allows you to have your feelings there in a very open and accepting way. They're not your feelings, you have them there. You can be with them. It's like you don't become merged or overwhelmed, but you have a little space between you and your feelings. And in that way that you can hear them, just like you would hear another person. You hear yourself. And you can be your own best friend, or a really good listener to yourself, a good companion to yourself. You can hear very gently how it is for you, what's happening inside. So what I want to do, before I do a guided exercise on that, I'd like you just to explore, maybe with 2 or 3 people near you, find a neighbour, somebody sitting next to you, maybe in pairs or threes. But maybe just before you do that, think about a time when you have been really listened to, when you have had that experience, perhaps with a good friend, somebody who was there for you when you wanted to speak about your troubles, and you felt safe. You felt safe enough to open your heart to talk about what's important to you, or what was bothering you at the time. It might be a good friend, or it might be a therapist or counsellor, somebody who was there for you, who really listened.
Okay, so
I'm
maybe...
just taking a moment.
Yeah, so...
Just notice how that was for you, and also see if you can notice the quality of that person, how they were with you. What kind of quality of presence did they have? That they were felt maybe non-judgmental, maybe they were accepting. So, Sandy, maybe you could just see if everybody understood the instructions for the exercise. I'm going to give you 5 minutes with 2 or 3 people.
Yeah, so we just kind of like tuned into that individually, and maybe now we can just pair up or just turn around and just have this kind of discussion of what you find as the qualities of when you really listen to, what are those qualities? Did I get that right?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
So I'll time you for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, so we take 5 minutes with that or just discussing. So you can just pair up, turn around. So do we collect the questions now, the qualities now, Fiona?
I was going to give another minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Okay, Sandy, I think we could stop.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we can kind of come back, and maybe we can share. How do we do that? Do I collect some of the words?
Yes,
do they
please.
Share it? Yeah. Yeah.
So, if any group would like to share what you came up with?
Pardon?
Any group could share what you came up with. Any qualities. We're looking for quality work.
Yeah, so if just randomly we can kind of just say aloud maybe some word that kind of like came up as a quality of what you noticed. Non-judgment. Concern and safety. Concern and safety.
Ah, yes, that's important. Yeah.
Listening and calm.
Receiving. Unconditional love.
Yes.
Secure. Supportive. Acceptance. No advice. Sacrifice.
Sensitive and 100% presence, feeling the therapist or the other person's 100% presence.
Feeling the other person's presence 100%.
Respecting the decisions.
Happiness and respecting decisions. Gentle. Can you say? Okay, so there's something here about the body language and that the person is present and speaks to you through the body language. Huh? Pure love. Giving space. Okay, and there's eye contact. And there's a seeing. Being available. Any others which is different? Appreciation. Compassionate. Yeah, we have that unconditional positive regard. There's an intention to listen. Understanding.
Patience.
Patience. Yeah. So that's quite a collection, Fiona. Did you get that? Did you get all those words?
I did get all those words, thank you.
And we put it on a whiteboard, or we're trying to put it on a whiteboard here. Yeah.
Okay, very good. My heart feels very full with all these wonderful works. It feels very rich. And this comes directly from your experience. So you know this, and you have experienced it. And you have experienced it deeply with another person. And this is wonderful. And I'm also wanting to encourage you to bring that kind of quality of presence to yourself when you're listening to your inner experience. So you might find that out of all the many words there, that there's one or two that really speak to you, that you think, oh yes, I could do that. I could do that for myself right now. There might be something there that feels easy, accessible, something that you could actually do. You could practice that internally. So I'm going to do another exercise, just checking before I move on to the next exercise if there's anything more, any questions, anybody not sure. Does it feel okay to move on?
Does that feel okay to move on? You have a question? Yeah. Yes.
Hello. I need to ask you, being there. You said that you need to be being there. If it's a difficult situation in which if you're going through something which is very difficult, and you have to be there at that moment, will it not create some disturbance in you? And how do you manage that?
Okay, thank you. So what I understand is that when you're in a difficult situation, it is very hard then to be in presence. So I want to acknowledge that and say, yes, it is difficult. And it is, I would suggest, a lifetime practice. And we might find that a difficult situation, we're just not able to do it. I would also suggest that we can practice it. When you're doing your mindfulness practice, when you're doing your focusing practice, you can practice being in presence so that it becomes easier. When it gets to a difficult life situation, in that moment, it's very difficult to be able to be in presence with it. So what I'm doing here is a specific form of inner listening. When you've got the time, you can listen then to how it was for you, how hard it was, and to be in presence with yourself right then. And with practice, it gets easier to be in difficult situations with presence. And it's like, we're not there yet, it's like a lifetime journey. And we also come and go with it. For me, it's like a whole spectrum. I'm close to it or I'm far away from it. Sometimes I can be close to presence and self in presence. And I'm able to manage a difficult situation with presence. I find that I can. Some situations I just get knocked and blown over and I couldn't manage it. I lost presence. So at least I'm aware of when I am in presence and when I'm losing presence, losing touch with it. And I think that's a step on the journey too. So let's be gentle with ourselves. We can't all be in presence all the time. Yeah. So Sandy, do you want to say?
I think, do we have anything else? Can we move on to the exercise?
Yes.
Yes, I think we are ready to move to the exercise.
Okay, thank you. So the exercise is a guided focusing exercise. I'll be inviting you to take your attention inside, notice what's there, and to see if you can be friendly or gentle or compassionate with what's there. So some of this may be familiar from your mindfulness practice, and there might be some differences. So it's probably going to take 5 minutes, something like that. So if you would just like to take your attention inside, you might want to close your eyes if it feels right. You don't have to, just so that you can be aware of inside. Take some time now to allow your awareness to move down into your body. Just gently following your breath, perhaps, noticing especially what's happening in your body between your throat and the base of your spine, that core area in your body. You might also include your feet and your hands, noticing how they're feeling, your head, noticing how your head is. Noticing how that inner area in your body you might become aware of thoughts, feelings, body sensations, or subtle somethings. You might be thinking about a current life situation that is difficult or problematic. See if you can settle on one thing to be with for these few minutes. I'll just take a little space there just for you to find what's there. Whatever it is that you're aware of now, simply notice it without trying to change it or to understand it. See if you can allow it to be there, just as it is. Take time to notice how your body is responding. See where in your body you can feel it the most. You may be feeling something in your throat, or in your chest, your stomach, or your belly. It may be in another part of your body, such as your head or your back. Just notice. You could describe it to yourself, how it's feeling there. What words or phrases, images, colours or sounds come to mind as you sense how it feels in your body now, here and now experiencing. Now see if you can offer it some acknowledgement. Try to be with it in a gentle, accepting way, simply because it is a part of you. Try to be non-judgmental and friendly towards it. You're not trying to fix it or to push it away. Notice how it feels to be with it in this way. Notice how your body is responding to your kind attention. Any qualities of presence that you're bringing to it. I'll just give you a little moment to be with it. Gently and kind, accepting. And in a minute, we're going to find a stopping place. So take a few moments to check back with what you've been with, noticing how it feels now. Has anything changed? Do the words say what it's feeling? Maybe there's an image that shows you how it feels. And you could acknowledge it You could say to it, yes, I know you're there. And as we begin to leave the session, the inside place, you might let it know you could come back to it if it wants you to, another time. You could thank your body, what it's shown you. When you're ready, gently bring your awareness back out into the room and slowly open your eyes. So, thank you. I would like to hear how that was for you. I can't hear from everybody. Thank you, Sandy. So if anybody would like to offer feedback from that exercise, we've got about 5 minutes before the end. So I'd love to hear how that was. What did you find? Anything you discovered? Any questions?
What did we find? Yeah.
I noticed in my throat, like one area which was feeling dry. Then after a while, it moved to the somewhere on my right abdomen, and I could feel that it was a concave shape, dry, and then after a while it moved to the lower abdomen, but it wasn't dry, it was kind of a numb pain. I wouldn't call it pain, but there was something there. I could feel it, but I'm not able to describe it. But it was not the same yeah.
Yes, thank you. So I'll say something back about that you noticed something in your throat that felt dry, and when you stayed with it, it seemed to move to your lower abdomen. And I didn't catch that word, there was a different quality feeling to it there.
Numb. Numb, is that right? Was the last one and before that? It was concave, like the shape.
It was concave. Yeah, you could sense the shape of it there. Yes. Yes, thank you. So you were able to sense something there in the body, and you got a really definite feeling of how it was, and you sensed how it moved and the shape of it. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. There's someone else who wants to share.
When we started the process, when we started the process, actually I was started very well, and I was feeling a lot of pain in my legs, and actually I was wanting to put them up on the chair next to me, and I couldn't because there's someone sitting. But I started with this process, and the pain moved, and like waves, and it's gone now. And I'm feeling very happy. Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Yes. I'm delighted to hear that. And just for you personally, that the pain released, but also as a demonstration to show how you can work with physical pain in focusing. Yeah.
Anyone else wants to share?
I started with feeling very calm and loud initially, and then it moved on to some sinking feeling in the heart. I experienced mild anxiety and also breathlessness. I stayed with it, continued to stay with it, just focusing on it. And by the end, I really felt soothed. So this was my experience.
As you stayed with it, it released.
As she stayed with it, she really felt soothed. Soothed.
She felt what?
Soothed. Soothed.
Sorted. Okay, sorted. Thank you. Great, thank you for that. We are running out of time, I think. I just want to make time for if there's a question about this process or anybody's not sure. It's just a real brief taster. So, yeah.
Yeah, there is one more question. Oh, there are quite a couple of questions.
Hi, this is Pallavi. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Perfectly.
Yeah. Thank you for showing us the exercise that you showed. Now, suppose we are using that and working with somebody. What is the next thing that you will do with that person? Suppose the person just shares that, I experienced all this like the people have shared. And while some of them said that they felt some relief, but suppose I took somebody through the process and they are still feeling some amount of discomfort, what's the next thing that you will do using presence and focusing?
Yes, following what's there, following the process.
Yeah.
Not trying to fix it, just following it. From my experience, it's really trusting that the bodily felt process has its own forward life direction. That if we stay with something for long enough, something new will come. There's a lot more, and I can't, in this short time, tell you what's next, really.
Yes.
I'm hoping to come over to India with Sandy's training next year, so we could look at more there.
Yes, so actually focusing is, it's a long training. Each of these processes is a training in itself over 2 years, 3 years. But this is, it's also something which we can do for ourselves. And thank you, Fiona, so much for sharing that. And next year, Fiona will be in person over here offering focusing. So we look forward to that as well. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much for inviting me.